Okay, getting ready to go live on Facebook here in just a minute. So give me just a second and we'll be ready to start the Wednesday spring card pull. Boy, it is getting warm outside and I am really enjoying this spring weather. I don't know about you guys. So we're doing these seasonal wisdom card pulls during the spring of 2023. And I'm just getting signed in here so that this can go to my Facebook Live page. So here we go. And just looking for my cards. All right, so we are going to pull one card per season from winter, spring, summer, fall. This material is from my card deck that I have created from my own material in my book, Season by Season, Authentically You. So if you're on live with me, I'd love for you to say hello so I can see that you're there. And for those of you that are watching this in replay, welcome. So here we go. I have not pulled the cards already today because I was actually outside talking to my yard guy about some trimming that we need to do from all of this wonderful spring growth. So let me just kind of get myself settled. I'm going to bring up the image for you to look at. So let me see here. Share my screen. There we go. All right, so these are the seasonal images that go with the material. As I said in my book, Season by Season, Authentically You. A Journey into Self-Discovery and Transformation. It's available on Amazon. And here are the images that we've been playing with the last several weeks and we're going to use again today. So what I'd like you to do is kind of just take a look at those images. And then I'm going to ask you to kind of just take a deep breath in and out. And then close your eyes. Let yourself just relax into the weight of your own body. And then sitting with your back straight but not stiff, feet flat on the floor, hands relaxed in your lap. I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath in and out and silently tell your body to relax. And then focus on your heart space. Just imagine that all your inner energy is coming to collect around the center of your chest, around that heart chakra area. Ask your heart to guide you with the energies today, to know which of these energies is best to speak to you for where you are now and what you could most use in the way of these seasonal messages. And then allowing your heart to guide you, open your eyes and see which of these images seems to be drawing you in, speaking to you, capturing your focus and attention. And once you have your image, we're going to begin then on the card draw. I'm going to start with this one in the upper left-hand corner, which just happens to be the winter image, but that may be the one that drew you today. Hey there, Jessica. I'm so glad you're joining us today, sweet friend. Okay, so let me pull the card for that winter image. The winter image message for today is know who you are. Self-knowledge can feel frightening, Some of us think that if we really look at who we are, we won't like what we see. Others feel too challenged by the idea of their own power. Go deep. Connect to your inner knowing to find courage and release any fear of seeing yourself for all that you are. This is an important message for any season. Those of you that know my story with this material know that as the topics came up and I was fleshing out the message for the topics, I kind of felt into the energy of it, and then I assigned it to a season based on seasonal wisdom. And because winter is that time when we're meant to go deep into those roots, kind of settle in and get ready for new growth, I felt like this topic fit winter the best. Excuse me. You know, in winter, when we look out at nature, we sometimes as human beings misunderstand and think that this is a time of death, when really what winter is a time of preparing for renewal. We need that rest. We need that time of dormancy, if you will. And in that time, it's a good time for revisiting who we know ourselves to be. And this card, I think, is propitious today for some of the things that I know to be happening in the lives of people who are connected to me. There are two ways that we fear self-knowledge, as this card said. Excuse me, I've been outside in the pollen, speaking of spring. One of those ways, as it said, is that we're afraid we won't like what we see. In other words, we're afraid we'll fall short. We'll look at ourselves and we'll see failings or disappointments or weaknesses, ways that we interact with other people that we don't like. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Forgive me. But another way that we feel fear around seeing who we are is being afraid to see our own power. And I would suggest to you, as we may come across on another topic, or you'll see in the book if you have it, sometimes looking at those things that we see as weaknesses or flaws helps us to find our greatest power. Hold on just a minute, guys. I'm actually going to need to go get something to stop this cough. Okay, hopefully that will help. Little pause there. So I would encourage you not to be afraid of looking at who you are. And when you see those things in yourself that if looking in a garden, you would consider it a weed, just consider where that might be something that could show you the strength that you actually have. Sometimes the parts of ourselves that we don't like are the parts that show up to show us where we're wounded or just to show us where growth is coming. So something to think about as we move on to the next card. If this picture here with the tulip is what has drawn you in, that's actually the spring image. And the message from the spring energy today is be defined by your inner truth. We receive constant messages from the world around us about who and what we should be. They can create a lot of disruptive noise in our energy. Don't let those messages embed themselves in your soul. Turn off the volume, stay connected to your inner truth, and allow it to teach you who you are. Interesting pairing with our last card, isn't it? So some of those ways that we look at ourselves and we find ourselves coming up short is because of those messages that are coming out to us, out from the outer world to us. In the deepest part of yourself, you know who you are, you know what your intentions are. If you find intentions there that don't seem honorable, then I would suggest you look for why you might be having that kind of thought, where that might have, where the genesis of that thought is, what may have caused you to have that thought. And seriously think about working with a counselor or a healer if that's something that you're not able to shift. But use your own intuition and understand who you are, and then find ways to have the courage to show that to the world, because that's really where you live your best life and where the world can benefit the most from you, is when you are defining yourself by your own inner truth. Okay, moving on to summer, which is this image here, if this is the one that drew you in. The message for summer, I think we might have had recently, I'm not sure. Topic is hold appropriate boundaries. All of us need a safe space in order to grow and feel confident in freely expressing ourselves. I'm going to read that again. All of us need a safe space in order to grow and feel confident in freely expressing ourselves. Saying yes in situations that feel wrong for you is a form of self-betrayal. Be willing to set limits for your interactions with others and establish boundaries that allow your true essence to flourish. This is another one that I think we sometimes have a misconception about. We think of holding boundaries as something that we do to protect ourselves from attack. I would like to suggest to you that when we are fully grounded in self-love, it's easier for us to have compassion towards others. And then we establish boundaries, as this card says, that allow our true essence to flourish. It gives us courage when we establish boundaries rather than establishing boundaries out of fear of being attacked. So let's know who we are. Let's be defined by our inner truth. Let's then set boundaries that allow us to flourish rather than setting a boundary after we perceive that we've been attacked, to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for a repeat attack. When we establish boundaries that allow us to flourish, and we do that from a place of self-love, then those boundaries are created from a compassionate way, and they become markers to the world that this is private space. So rather than having to be a 50-foot stone wall to keep out invaders, it becomes more like a light wood picket fence that just establishes this is where my garden property begins. And it would be best for you to ask permission to enter in. And we can do that in a loving, compassionate way rather than in a fearful, forceful way. Okay. All right. Next card then would be fall. If this is the one that drew you in, the one with the beautiful leaves. And our message from that today is practice self-compassion. No accidents in the way these groupings come through. Having compassion for ourselves allows us to relax into who we truly are. It creates a safe space for us to grow and expand. Then we can show up in life as the best version of ourselves. Offer the support and comfort of compassion to yourself and feel your soul relax into truth. This is a perfect final bit of wisdom on the heels of these other cards. Just a reiteration of the power of having compassion for ourselves. That creating a feeling of safety for us so that we can grow and expand. We can hold boundaries then that allow our true essence to flourish. We do this by being defined by our inner truth. And we can only do this if we're willing to know who we are, so that we know where our boundaries are. We know where our true essence and our inner truth is, and we know what allows us to flourish in our true essence. So I hope that these 4 cards have been meaningful to you today. I'll be back next Wednesday, 3 p.m. Central Time during these weeks of spring 2023. So thanks for joining me today. Thank you to those of you who are continuing to send me messages about how the book is relating to you in your life. I just love hearing them. And so I'll say goodbye now, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.